Okay, students. So today we are going to discuss about the scheduling algorithm. In scheduling algorithm, we are going to discuss about the first of all, we have already know aware about the first come first serve algorithm. I just given to you the basic idea about the first come first serve scheduling algorithm. It is simple as well as schedule a job according to their arrival time. Okay, on the basis of their arrival time, we can distribute it. The job which comes first in the ready queue will get CPU first, right? So the lesser arrival time, the job sooner will be the job get CPU. So first come first serve scheduling may cause the problem of starvation as well as, because at the time while we are going to discuss about the starvation, then what thing happened. If one job is come with low priority, then it can wait lot of time. So this is all about the starvation. So first come first serve scheduling may cause the problem of starvation if the bus time of first process is the longest among the all jobs, right? So if suppose we are going to discuss about the advantage of the first come first serve algorithm, so it is simple, easy, and it is first come first serve. While we are going to discuss about the disadvantage, then the scheduling method is non-preemptive. Process will run to the completion. Due to non-preemptive nature of the algorithm, the problem of starvation may occur. Okay, so we have already done that. Scheduling method is non-preemptive. This The process will run to the completion. Means that if one process is assigned to the CPU, then until and unless the process is completed, then CPU can engage with the same, right? So this is all about the starvation. Due to non-preemptive nature of algorithm, the problem of starvation may occur. Maybe because at the same time, while we talk about the non-preemptive, it means that until and unless our one process is completed, then CPU is busy with the same processes. Although it is easy to implement, but it is poor in performance since the average waiting time is higher as compared to the other scheduling algorithm. If suppose we are going to discuss the other rest of the scheduling algorithms, then we say that there is a the performance time is very poor as compared to the other. Okay, so in first come first serve algorithm, we have discussed that certain kind of things like process ID, which we have already done with the help of Gantt chart. We have done that how the process come and how they implemented. Okay, so and there is a certain kind of the formulas, like suppose we are going to discuss about the turnaround time, then completion time minus arrival time as well as, and waiting time is all about the turnaround time uh, minus bus time. So this is the formula to find out that how turnaround time is working, how waiting time is over there. Okay, so which we have done. Now we are going to discuss about the shortest job first. Okay, shortest job first is also very important algorithm. In this shortest job first algorithm, preemptive and non-preemptive techniques are used. Okay, so which we have already done that. What is the preemptive? Preemptive means that if supposed to be a priority is over there. Okay, so if suppose context switching is over there in the preemptive and non-preemptive technique, we say that if suppose once the CPU is assigned, to any kind of a process or say assigned to the CPU, then until and unless while it is not completed, then it can execute it. So the both terminology, both techniques are used in the shortest job first, right? So first of all, we see the introduction of the shortest job first. So shortest job first is an algorithm in which the process having smallest execution time is chosen for the next execution. Okay, so this scheduling method can be preemptive or non-preemptive as well as to significantly reduce the average waiting time for other processing waiting execution. full form of SGF is shortest job first. Okay, so it can help us to process having smallest execution time as well as. Okay, so there are basically two types of SGF method. Try to understand what is the basic or there. One is the non-preemptive shortest job first, and other one is the preemptive shortest job first. Okay, so first of all, we are going to discuss about the characteristics of SGF scheduling. So it is associated with each job as a unit time to be complete, right? And this algorithm method is helpful for batch type processing, where waiting for job to complete is not critical, right? And it can improve the process throughput by making sure that shortest job are executed first, hence possibly have to be short turnaround time. And the next one is that it improves the job output of offering by offering shortest job which should be executed first, which mostly have shortest turnaround time. How it is possible we will check in the practical while we are working on the problem, then we can find out the certain kind of characteristics which we have done. So the non if suppose in case of in case of non-preemptive shortest job first, in non-preemptive shortest scheduling, once the CPU cycle is allocated to a process, the process hold it till it reaches the waiting state or terminated. Okay, consider the following process having its own unique burst time and arrival time, right? So if we have already done that, if we have a preemptive shortest job first, right? So it means that CPU can assign to any kind of process or assign to the CPU until and unless it can cover all the time, right? So this is all about the shortest job first. Now we can see it on the practical that how it is possible we can find out, right? So with the help of certain kind of Gantt chart, okay, with the help of certain kind of Gantt chart, we make sure that how shortest job first is working, right? So here we have a process ID P1, P2, P3, P4, and P5. Okay, and there is a arrival time. There is 2, 5, 1, 0, and 4. And burst time is all about the completion time or burst time. Means that if suppose how much it is required to be completed, right? So burst time is given 6, 2, 8, 3, and 4, right? So with the help of Gantt chart, we find out the values, right? And here the criteria is very important in the shortest job first. Try to understand, my dear student. Try to understand that what is the criteria. Okay, so criteria is all about the burst time. Okay, so we can find out the values with the help of certain kind of burst time, and this is all about the mode is all about the non-preemptive, and we have already done that. What is the non-preemptive? Non-preemptive is a technique where once this process is assigned to the CPU, then it can be completed. Okay, after that second process can be executed, and at the same time while we are working with a certain kind of formula to find out the turnaround time and waiting time, then we say that completion time minus arrival time is equal to turnaround time, and waiting time is all about the turnaround time minus burst time. Okay, so with the help of this formula we can find out what is the turnaround time and what is the waiting time. Okay, so it is very simple to find out. So first of all, we are move on the Gantt chart, and we see that it's supposed to be. We see that here the arrival time of certain kind of processes. Like if we are going to discuss about the timing, then from arrival time of P4. Okay, basically, you see the bus time of P4 is 3, and P2 is less than P4. But at the same time, while we are going to discuss about the time schedule time, then we find out that arrival time of P4 is 0. So we can start with the arrival time because it is very mandatory. Okay, first of all. Okay, any kind of you have a algorithm, but you must find the value whose arrival time is minimum. Okay, so minimum arrival time is P4, and that is the zero over here. So we consider P4 first of all, P4 over here. Okay, and what it required, because it required burst time of P4 is equal to 3, because we are using which kind of technique we have using, we have using non-preemptive technique. Okay, non-preemptive technique. So it means that if suppose any uh, process is come with as within the same time, but we are not considering till our process is completion or its own task, right? So here we have considered P4, and the arrival time of P4 is equal to 0. Okay, we will consider over here 0. And how much time it required? It required 3, supposed to be 3 seconds, right? So it can complete it 3 seconds, right? First of all, and inside while P4 is executing on with the CPU, then the from 0 second to 3 second, then arrival time of P1 is also 2 seconds. So it means that in a from this position, our P1 is arrival. Okay, but we are aware about, we are using what we have using, we have using non-preemptive technique. Okay, so with the help of non-preemptive technique, we say that first of all we can finish our first process, and then we will take another process, right? So from 0 second to 3 second it can execute it. Supposed to be it's not a second, it's microseconds and all, but we have considered that that is a seconds. So from 0 second to 3 second, it can execute it P4 first of all, and then after that we have considered the arrival time of P1. Okay, so arrival time of P1 is all about what it required. It required P1. Then the burst time of P1 is equal to 6. Okay, so burst time of it required 6. So 3 plus 6 is equal to 9. Okay, so it means that completion time of P1 is all about the 9. And after that, we consider, what we have considered. We have considered the on the basis of, on the basis of what? On the basis of uh, arrival time. Okay, so we consider on the basis of burst time. The burst time of P2 is all about 2. Okay, so we have considered 2 P2 over there. Now you see that the burst time of P2, it is required over here is all about the 2 seconds. So 9 plus 2 is equal to 11, and P5. After that, there is a P5, because the burst time of P5, because P4 is already executed, right? P4 is already executed, so burst time of P5 is less than others. So we have considered over there, we have considered what we have considered. We have considered P5. Okay, so P5 burst time is 4. So 11 plus 4 is equal to 15. And then after that, we have considered arrival time P3. So P3, the burst time of P3 is equal to all about the 8. So it can require 15 plus 8 is equal to 23. So it means that completion time of P3 is all about what? 23, right? So this is all about the Gantt chart. This is Gantt chart. With the help of Gantt chart, we easily find out. We can easily find out what we have easily find out. We can easily find out the completion time, as well as turnaround time, as well as waiting time, right? So this is all about the shortest job first over there, right? So if we are going to find out the completion time, right? So we can easily say that P1, if supposed to be P1 completion time is all about the 9. Okay, so here you see that 9, and P2 as the 11. So we have considered here the 11, and P3 at completion time of P3 is equal to 23. With the help of Gantt chart, we can find out. Okay, so completion time of P3 is equal to 23, and P4. Now you see that P4 completion time is all about the 3, so we can consider here the 3, and P5. Now P5 completion time is 15, so we have considered here over here there is a 15. And now after that there is a turn around time, okay, TAT, turn around time. It means that completion time minus arrival time. So completion time of P1 is equal to 9 and arrival time of P1 is equal to 2. So 9 minus 2. Now you see that 9 minus 2 is equal to 7. Okay. So here turn around time of P1 is equal to 7. Right. So it's supposed to be we have a P2 and P2 completion time is equal to 11. Okay, and P2 arrival time is all about the 5. So 11 minus 5 is equal to 6. Okay, so at the same time the P3 completion time of P3 is equal to 23 and arrival time of P3 is equal to 1. Okay, so 23 minus 1 is equal to 22. So turnaround time of shortest job first of P3 is 22, and at the same time P4 we have required completion time of P4 is equal to what it is all about the P4 is about 3. So 3 and arrival time of P4 is equal to 0. So 0 minus 3 is equal to 3. So turnaround time of P4 is equal to 3. And then after that P5. So completion time of 5 is equal to P5 is equal to 15 and minus arrival time is 4. So 15 minus 4 is equal to 11. So now we can find out the total turnaround time of all the process which can be executed in shortest job first. But what is the mode? Mode is non-preemptive, not a preemptive. We can we will discuss preemptive as well as technique over there. But right now you see that that is a non-preemptive technique, and first of all we can execute it with the help of certain kind of burst time as well as arrival time. Okay, so with the help of certain both consideration we find out the turnaround time, and after that there is a if suppose we are going to discuss about the waiting time, right? Waiting time, waiting time is all about turnaround time minus burst time. Okay, so turnaround time of P1 is equal to 7. Turnaround time of P1 is equal to 7 and minus burst time is 6. So 7 minus 6 is equal to 1. So it means that waiting time of P1 is all about nothing but it's only 1, because we know that the arrival time of P1 is 2. Now you see that arrival time of P2 is equal to 2, but it gives to the CPU is on the 3 seconds. Okay, P1 is assigned to the on the 3 seconds. So arrival time of 2 and it can assign by 3. So it means that how much time waiting time is required? Only 1 second. Only P1 wait 1 second, and after 1 second it can assign to the CPU. It's very simple technique, right? So at the same time we talk about the P2. Then P2 turnaround time minus burst time. So waiting time of P2 is equal to 4. Now you see that P2 given by the 9 at the time of 9, and it can reach over there is arrival time of P2 is equal to 5, and it can assign to the CPU on the 9 second. So 9 minus 5 is equal to 4. So here we see that it's required waiting time of process P2 is all about what? It's all about the 4 seconds. Now after that there is a P3, right? So P3, we talk about the P3, then P3 have 14 waiting time, right? So how we can find that supposed to be turnaround time of P3 is equal to 22, okay, and minus bus time. So bus time is all about what? It is P3 is 8. So waiting time, turnaround time of P3 is 22 minus 8 is equal to how much it is required? 14. So P3 required, here P3 is all about waiting time of P3 is equal to 14. So P3 gives P3 is all about the 15, and what is the arrival time of P3 is a 1. So it can given to CPU is on the 15 second. So arrival time of 1, it means that it can wait 14 minutes. 14 minutes is maximum time, right? So 14 minutes P3 is waiting. Then after that it can be assigned to the CPU. So this is all about the non-preemptive technique. It is all about the what it is. It is non-preemptive technique in the shortest job first, right? So very simple. And then if we are going to discuss about the average waiting time, so average waiting time is nothing but addition of all the process divided by total number of process, means that it's 1 plus 4 plus 14 plus zeros plus 7, which we have already covered over their waiting time. So waiting time plus all the waiting time we can sum and then divided by total number of process. There is a number of processes from P1 to P5 is equal to 5. So divided by 5 means 26 divided by 5 is equal to 5.2. So average waiting time of each process is all about what? 5.2. Okay, so there is a certain features of shortest job first is implemented through main heap data structure as well as, okay, and it is greedy algorithm. If you are working with data structure and all, then it can easily find out the greedy algorithms and what is the greedy algorithm and all this, because this is basically the topics of data structure. Then time complexity, big O, n log n. So these are the topics of all about the data structure. uh, okay, so we have covered non-preemptive technique, okay, of shortest job first algorithm. Now we will move on the another technique, that is the preemptive techniques. Okay, so it is also very very important that please try to understand that is what is the preemptive technique, preemptive mode as well as, right? So if we are going to discuss about the preemptive technique uh, in the shortest job first algorithm, then you know what, there is a certain kind of process P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, and P6 is processes over there, and there is a certain uh, uh, arrival time and bus time is over there. Okay, P1, P2, P3, and other. There is a given arrival time as well as bus time over there, right? So, on the basis of first of all, we can consider now we are using preemptive mode technique. So, in preemptive, we know that there is a context switching is over there. Okay, so with the help of all those things, all those parameters, we consider what we have considered. We consider that how preemptive techniques are used with the help of bus time. Okay, because we must consider the bus time as well as. So first of all, here we see that the arrival time of P1. Now you see that P1 arrival time of P1 is equal to 0, right? So here we have, first of all, we have considered P1 over here, and now you see that mm, second one, second one is the P2, because at the same time from if suppose we are going to discuss about the bus time of P1, that is 7. Okay, is it clear? So it means that 7 seconds is required to complete the P1, right? So P1 arrived at 0 second and it can require 7 seconds to complete its job, right? So we can consider from 0 to 1. Okay, so at the 1 second there is another job is arrived. So another job is P2 is arrived in the 1 second. So we can consider, because we are already aware about the preemptive technique, that it can switch as according to their arrival time. So P2 is assigned to the second over here. So P2 required 5 seconds to complete their execution. Okay, so bus time of P2 is 5, but at the same time, while it can move from 1 second to 2 second, that another job is come. Okay, that priority, because at the same time we see that P2, the bus time of P2 is equal to 5, and the bus time of P1 is all about the 6. Okay, so it means that the P2 have less burst time, so it can provide to the P2. Because if suppose burst time of P1 is less than P2, then we will first of all we will assign the P1 execution and then P2 execution, right? So burst time is very important. Please try to understand. All right. So now after that we can consider P3. So P3 arrive at 2 seconds. So we can give the P3 on this second, right? With the 2 seconds. So P3 required 3 seconds to complete it. So it can complete it three. But at the same time, while it can move on the 3 seconds, then P4 is arrival. P4 is arrival. So it can arrival, but P4 have the low bus time, so we can give the P4 for completion. So it can require only 1 second, so it can easily execute it. It can easily execute it, okay, and finish their job. Means that P4 come and it can execute it for 1 second, serve his time, and then finish. Okay, come back to the home, right? And then after that, now you see that the what is the priority of on the basis of bus time. So now we can consider that P3, okay, so P3 have less bus time as compared to the P1 and P2. So we have considered P3 again from 4 to 5 seconds, and then again because other rest of the bus time of other is less, so we can consider 5 to 6 seconds it can execute it, and until and unless it can finish the P3, and then it can execute it. After that we can consider P6. Okay, why we consider P6? Because this is the 6 seconds is completed, and arrival time of P6 is all about the 5 seconds. So we can consider, because it is low priority, low burst time. Okay, so it can require, so we can consider P6 over here, right? And after that we have a P5, and P5 have burst time is 2, and after completion of P5, burst time is it can execute it to 7 plus 2 is equal to 9, and it can finish their job. And after that there is a P2, because it is bus time is 4 remaining, so it can 9 plus 4 is equal to 13. It means that P2 is completed, and then remaining P1 have their bus time is 6, so 13 plus 6 is equal to 19. Now you see that all the process are executed completely with the preemptive mode as well, as right, with the help of preemptive mode, it is their job is executed, right? So this is all about what? This is all about the preemptive mode of shortest job first algorithm. So we have considered, we have a now we find out the Gantt chart over here, right? So this is all about the Gantt chart, and it's supposed to be we discuss about the arrival time. So basically, arrival time is the time when the process is arrived in the ready state. Burst time, the time required by the process for its execution, right? So execution means how much time is required to complete their job. Completion time CT. Completion time CT is the time when the process completes its execution. Turnaround time, it is the time interval from the time of submission of process to the time of completion of the process. And if supposed to be we discuss about the time spent of the process waiting ready queue for the setting CPH, waiting time is all about the turnaround time minus bus time. Response time, if we are going to discuss about the response time, so the time difference between the first response and arrival time, which we have already discussed. So if in this, with the help of this Gantt chart, we can find out the what is the turnaround time and what is the remaining factors with the help of formulas, that we have already know that how we can find out the turnaround time. We can find out with the help of completion time minus arrival time. So completion time of P1 is all about, now you see that with the help of Gantt chart, we can find out the completion of P1 is equal to 90. Okay, and arrival time of P1 is equal to 0. So 19 minus 0 is equal to 19. Okay, so it means that what? It means that turnaround time of P1 is equal to 19. Now you see that P2. So P2, uh, P2 completion time of P2 is all about what? 13. Okay, so 13, and arrival time of P2 is equal to 1. So 13 minus 1 is equal to 12. So with the help of all those, we find out that what is the turn around time over there, right? So it is very simple technique over there which we have used.